Can you get rid of hit points? Today on Dungeon Craft. I'm Professor Dungeon Master coming to you from Dungeon University. Level up your game by subscribing. Click the bell notification and you'll be on your way to adventure. Today I'm wearing my +1 vest of protection because we're going to slaughter a sacred cow. Hit points. We've always used them, but do you really need them? Quick history lesson. Hit points evolved from a miniature war game called Chainmail by Gary Gygax, the forerunner of D&D. In Chainmail, average infantry died after just one hit, but heroes could withstand two. D&D co-creator Dave Arneson used this idea for his Blackmoor campaign, and from that primordial RPG soup, hit points evolved. Each version of D&D has given players and monsters more and more hit points. This version that I learned to play with back in 1980, an average rogue, which back then was called a thief, had just D4 hit points. And you didn't start out with the maximum hit die for your class. You rolled a D4, and you could have 1 hit point on first level. And Constitution didn't help you because you didn't roll 4d6 and drop the lowest score, so you had a bunch of stats with +1 or better. You rolled 3d6 hard. You were lucky to have +1 in anything. So if you were a rogue, that was probably in dexterity, meaning you could have a 3rd level rogue with something like 5 to 7 hit points. Ogres in this version had an average of 24 hit points. Now they have 59. A red dragon had 45 hit points. Now it has like 256. The problem with this is the more hit points everything has, the more combat can drag on. And it's one of the reasons I cap my player characters at about 20 hit points. I get a lot of crap for this from commenters saying that I'm trying to nerf the players and that no one's going to want to play my game and players want to play a game of heroic fantasy. Allow me to retort. How do you want your game to feel? I want my game to feel heroic. I want my game to feel cinematic. I want the players to feel like they're watching a movie. When I watch Lord of the Rings, I see Legolas kill orcs in just one shot. I see Conan the Barbarian, the good one with Arnold, disembowel people with one swipe of a sword. I want that feeling in my game. Set aside the Dungeon Master hat for a second and think like a film director. Would you ever want to see a film where Legolas shoots the orc and misses the first time, then hits him in the shoulder, then in the stomach, and then the 3rd time he finally dies? No, you want Legolas to shoot that orc and then the orcs fall screaming off of a staircase or into a bottomless pit or something. So here's my suggestion. Don't think of monsters in terms of hit points. Think of them in terms of hits. How many hits should a monster be able to survive before it dies? I want a low-level character, like your average goblin infantry, to die after just 1 hit. Same thing with orcs and bandits. A slightly tougher monster, something that should be a challenge, might be 2 hits. Something that could possibly damage or even kill the player characters, 3 hits or more. This actually isn't that radical, it's just rounding off the math. Look, an average 5e fighter has +3 strength and does d8, which is 4.5 hit points of damage. Rounded off, that's about 8 hit points of damage per round. The average goblin only has 7 hit points. That means an average hit from an average fighter is going to kill an average goblin in just 1 shot. The only exception is if the fighter rolls really low, the goblin might survive to a 2nd round. Here's a faster way. Instead of hit points, just count hits. If a 1st level character hits a goblin and rolls any damage but a 1, the goblin is dead. Same thing with hobgoblin, orc, or bandit infantry. If it's just infantry, it dies in 1 shot. An exceptional orc, the biggest orc in the room, the orc sergeant, he might take 2 hits. Just last week, my players fought an ogre with 59 hit points. That's just 7-8 hits on average. This is how I kept track of it. First round, fighter hits it. He tells me he did 8 hit points, but I just record 1 hit. Wizard hits it with magic missiles for 7 more damage. Okay, that's a 2nd hit. Round 2, fighter misses, rogue hits with a natural 20. I count that as 2 hits. The wizard casts Burning Hands. That's a total of 5 hits out of 8. Isn't that a lot easier and faster than subtracting 34 hit points from 59? Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe your players really enjoy watching you do subtraction behind a screen, but personally, I think this is a way faster way to keep track of damage and keep the game moving. Again, how do you want your game to feel? I want a game that's heroic fantasy. When I think of heroic fantasy, I think of this. I think of this. This? Not so much. I use the hit method for NPCs as well. It's boring to watch the Dungeon Master just roll dice for NPCs. Rum the Mighty Troll Slayer can take 4 hits before he dies. First hit's a flesh wound, second hit's a medium wound, third hit he's begging for magical healing, and fourth wound he's dead. Otherwise you end up rolling for the NPC and the monsters and calculating all this damage at the same time, and you're just playing a game by yourself while your players watch you, and that is boring. Don't do that. Other don'ts. Don't let your players know that you're doing this. Let them calculate the damage. Let them have their moment. Let them feel powerful. I roll all the dice in front of my players, but they never see my notes. So they don't know what's there. They don't know how the sausage is made, and they don't need to. Don't do this for your penultimate battle of the session. Vermithrax Pejorative, the Ancient Dragon, or whatever the main villain is. Roll that out. This method is strictly for your average dungeon-dwelling minion. And finally, don't do this for the player characters. I am not suggesting that you replace your hit point system with this. Roll out all of the monster damage and have the player characters subtract it. When you say to the players, okay, you just took 13 hit points and they have to subtract it, that's not slowing the game down because they're still involved. That's exciting for them. It's adding to the dramatic tension because they realize they only have a couple of hit points left. That math is focused on them, and that's why it should stay. Focus the game on your characters. Remember, it's always about them. Now, if you want to know more about how to speed up combat and balance encounters, check out these videos over here and click that Dungeon Door logo to subscribe. As always, like, comment, and share this video. Once again, I'm Professor Dungeon Master for Dungeon Craft. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the table. May all your rolls be 20s.